My best and oldest friend stopped talking to me because my husband got COVID before her wedding and things are rocky. This is a long one. My friend, let's call her Carly, has been in my life off and on since kindergarten. We used to go to the same daycare program, then wound up back in the same class in junior high and have been best friends since. There have been times where we lost touch for a while. She went to college about an hour away, I was working 3 jobs at one point, but kept in touch on social media, and when we'd have time together, things would pick right back up. In summer 2021 her long-term boyfriend proposed. They'd been together for 9 years and my own boyfriend, M32, and I were berating him, in a light-hearted joking way, to propose. We didn't feel right getting engaged before them, since we'd only been together 4 years and since her BF kept saying he would ask soon. We didn't want to steal their thunder. He finally proposed, and a couple of months later in October 2021, my BF proposed. That January I was diagnosed with cancer and, for insurance purposes, we decided to speed things up and get married in May 22. My best friend and her fiancé would get married in October 22, so our wedding wound up being before theirs. She seemed totally fine with this and even sent me a ton of specialty ice cream when I got the news. For our wedding, we decided to have a small backyard affair with just our closest family members, and I asked Carly to be my maid of honor, and only bridesmaid, while my fiancé had his younger brother, M27, as his best man. No other wedding party, just parents, grandparents, and siblings as guests, but I still wanted the day to feel special and got a big gown. I took Carly dress shopping and let her pick out her own dress and paid for it because she has a disease that limits her mobility and I wanted her to look and feel her best. We don't make a lot of money and Carly has a lot of privilege, but it was important to me to pay for that plus hair and makeup because I wanted to show my appreciation. The day before our wedding Carly saw that my mom, who we all know is a narcissist, was insisting that she get to make a toast. She was sending me article after article about wedding etiquette. Carly suggested I let her and other people do toasts if they wanted, and I asked if she'd be comfortable toasting. With such a small guest list, it would be weird if my mom was the only person who spoke, and I had a suspicion she wouldn't speak at the last minute anyway. She agreed. That morning on the way to hair and makeup I walked her through my fiancé's family members. They hadn't met, and shared that the best man was recently sober and I was struggling to reconcile some things that had been said and done when he was still addicted and quite toxic. We also talked about how my fiancé and I met. I was dating a friend of his in high school and years later wound up briefly dating one of his roommates, which is when we ran back into each other. She'd known this already, but as girls do, we rehashed. The rest of the day went off without a hitch until the speeches. My mom had nothing prepared and improvised by simply saying that she knows my husband married someone who likes to read and is very dramatic. Oh, and is kind, an afterthought after some agonizing silence. Carly jumped in and acted like this was a celebrity roast. She aired out my brother-in-law's dirty laundry, called me a homie hopper and so on. No one laughed, just more awkward silence, and then Bill jumped in to say some actually nice things and we moved on to dinner. Her speech bugged me and I brought it up a few days later. She said she had no idea what she did wrong because she only said what I'd told her that very morning. She's always had a dry sort of mean sense of humor, so I let it go. Then we started planning Carly's wedding. I paid for myself for everything, and there were a few unexpected expenses that I didn't have time to prepare for. I wrote her a really nice speech for her bridal shower, and afterward she glared and said she'd forgotten about those things and it's weird of me to remember. I didn't want to make a big deal out of what could just be my own insecurities, so I kept the sour taste to myself and focused on making her happy. 2 days before the wedding, she and the bridesmaids, myself included, went out for dinner and drinks to finalize day of plans for timing, hair and makeup, transportation, etc. She mentioned being concerned about getting home from the reception, and I volunteered to sober cab. My husband is sober anyway and it was a very short distance, and she ignored me, hesitated when I offered a second time, then said they'd just figure something else out. Again, a little weird but not really a big deal. That night, I got home and my husband wasn't feeling well. He is a homebody gamer, but I suggested he take a COVID test to be sure. It came back positive. I texted Carly and she freaked out. I felt so badly for her and did everything I could to support her from a distance. I told her I didn't have any symptoms and tested negative, but she still didn't want me to come to her wedding. I told her that was totally fine and I understood. She stopped talking to me altogether and said she needed time. I apologized again and left her alone. Then I find out via social media she cancelled her wedding. It was supposed to be huge, a day-long multi-room affair at a big mansion, and she instead opted to get married in a park with just a handful of people. She had rehearsal dinner as planned, the entire wedding party was there, and what looked like maybe 30 other people. No one bothered to tell me. A couple weeks later, we had a joint birthday party, both of us plus another friend share a birthday month, and she kept her distance and was relatively cold and polite. We didn't talk except when other people naturally assumed we were talking and brought us into a conversation together. I left early and continued to give her space. A few more months go by and we send each other TikToks but otherwise don't talk much. It's been over a year now and I want to clear the air. I sent her a TikTok about a new ramen place that opened nearby and asked for a dinner date and she agreed but said she was booked so it would need to wait a couple of weeks. Then she rain checked, and then cancelled the next date because she wanted to get some garden boxes installed. I told her to just follow up when she had time. It's been a couple more weeks now and radio silence. My husband says she's been a shitty friend and that I should drop her. This all seems small and petty for a 20-plus year friendship that's never had a single fight. I'm autistic and have trouble gauging social relationships as is. Should I reach out to her, or let her come to me, or give up altogether? Comment. 2 things that have proved the ability to make otherwise rational people insane are weddings and COVID. So your friend is a bridezilla who looks at a cancer patient with a potentially bad virus as being merely someone messing up her plans. That's sad. The good news is that most new brides outgrow this once the princess for a day feeling wears off and they realize that the world has moved on. Just don't contact her. If there's a grain of decency anywhere inside her, she'll reach out to you eventually. She's selfish and self-absorbed. This is her adult character, so whatever you friend dynamic when you were 6, she is no longer the same person. You don't have to stay friends, sunk cost fallacy, and your husband is right. He doesn't want to see you getting rebuffed, ignored, and hurt anymore. Leave your memories in the past and make new friends who suit you as an adult. So she let you pay for everything for your wedding and then she let you pay for everything for her wedding too? Then she gave a speech but insulted you at your wedding? Why would you think this is a friend? Nothing about this sounds like she actually cares about you. She is not the same person you've known for 20 years. She changed and is no longer worth your time. Quit waiting. Find better friends. That's fine, but Carly sounds like a user. I think you genuinely feel a connection to her, but I sense she doesn't feel the same for you. It sounds like there's an idea in your mind of what this relationship is based on the last 20 years, but the relationship hasn't been that way in a long time. You're thinking the history means something, but if you go back through it, I bet you'd find a lot of instances of things going her way and you letting things slide. The truth is, you're there for her. She's there for you when it serves her. Otherwise, you both follow her agenda. She's self-absorbed, and you're so loving that you might not see it. I suspect that your friendship shares more similarities than you realize with your relationship with your mother. She was using you and whatever money you had to do things for you. She didn't care about your needs or what you wanted. When you got married and stopped being at her beck and call, you were no longer a friend. Your husband is correct. One of the most important things to learn, in my opinion, as an adult, is when to recognize when someone simply is no longer worth investing in. But it also sounds like maybe she was never that good a friend and you gave her too much leeway all along. She's not worth the time and the thought you are putting towards her. I hope you can let go of that and put that energy elsewhere. towards someone else that deserve it. Story 2. Husband cheated on me. So I found out today that my husband cheated. We've been together 8 years, married almost 2 years. No kids, just 3 dogs. Own a house together. Have savings. 2 cars. The American dream. He came home and I noticed he had something on his face, wiped and said it looked like makeup. I asked him why he had makeup on his nose and his response was, "Oh, I don't know, I don't think I put on any makeup," and I'm like, "How do you not know? Also, you don't have makeup, lol." He of course pivoted and said he went to the dentist and that maybe it was their makeup. I of course said that's stupid because a dentist doesn't get close enough to your face to get makeup on you. This whole time he seemed panicky, stumbled over his words, quivering lip, and wouldn't look straight at me. He told me he didn't know what to say and that he was telling the truth. I told him I did not believe him purely because how asinine his explanation was and how sketchy he was acting. We've also been having some issues in our marriage and fighting quite a bit the past few months. He said I could check his phone and the footage on our house cameras and I said that wouldn't change anything. I told him he needed to be honest with me and that if he told me now, it'd be better than me finding out later. Stuck to his guns that he was telling me the truth. Awesome thing is that my parents were coming over to dog sit while we went to California for a vacation. Talk about perfect timing. We dropped the subject and tried to act normal with my parents' arrival. I was texting my brother about everything at the time and he had the great idea of getting the SD card out of his dash cam. So I bebopped myself out to his truck and got the SD card. He came outside right at that time and asked what I was doing. Told him I was looking in his truck. I go upstairs in our house and he asked if I took the SD card. I said yup. You said I could look at footage. He said it would have been nice to know and I said, well now you do. I then calmly took him through my logical thinking of why I think he got makeup on his nose because he was making out with someone else. I ended my explanation with, we have been together 8 years and married for 2. I have built a life with you and you have been my best friend this whole time. If you respect me as a person and love me as a person, you will tell me the truth. That got him. He told me that he made out with one of his co-workers. I of course asked for all the details, if they've had sex, how long it's been going on, have they seen each other outside of work, do they text/call, who she was, who started the relationship, if she knew he was married, if he talked about me, etc. Said they never had sex. Been going on for 2 weeks. Never text/call, because he didn't want to get caught, that she knew he was married, that it started out with just flirting, and that they've never seen each other outside of work. He of course cried, said he was sorry for letting me down, that he loved me, that he was a bad person, etc. I, being the dumb loving person that I am, consoled him and said he's not a bad person, just a person that made a bad decision. I told him that I still love him as a person, but that he took a vow and broke it. He broke my heart. That on one hand I'd like to find a way to make it work, but that I'm always going to have that in the back of my head regardless if I forgive him. That how can I move on knowing that he may just step out on me when things get difficult? Life is going to throw us some shit storms, and now I have no clue if he will weather the storm with me. He said that he would do anything to make it work, go to couples counseling, share his location, let me look through his phone, etc. I told him while that's all well and good, that's not a way for a person to live. I would drive myself insane tracking his location, looking through his phone, never knowing if he is going to the gym or going to meet up with someone. He told me he would ultimately respect whatever decision I make. I told him I am going to California, he is not. And I am taking my mom with me, we will take 2 weeks apart. Asked him to leave and go to a hotel and share his location with me. Once I get back from California and Thanksgiving with my family, I will let him know if I want to try couples counseling. Now I am left here singing Cotton Eyed Joe, where did we come from? Where do we go? Have any of you been through something like this? What did you do? Leave immediately? Try to make things work and come out stronger? Try to make things work and ultimately dissolving the marriage? Decisions. Coping with humor will get me through this. Addition, I'm so sorry if I haven't been able to respond to all the replies. I appreciate you all so much and the kind words and great advice you have all been giving. I will update as soon as I have more to share. Right now, I am Zumaboom Fomin through the sky. Update, to answer some of y'all's questions, my dad has the SD card in his possession. My best friend is going to watch it to spare me that pain. As for him fucking around on me while I'm gone, he is supposed to be at the hotel just for the night and go back to our home. Our dogs are there that he needs to take care of since my mom is going to Cali with me and my dad is going back home. Also, the damage has already been done. If he fucks around more at this point, nothing I can do about that. He's already obliterated my heart, not much more he can do at this point. Also, was STD tested like 3 weeks ago because I got my IUD taken out because we were going to start a family. So glad that did not happen, as the red devil visited me yesterday. Endometriosis might be doing me a solid hahaha. Update, sorry to keep my loyal audience waiting lol, but when they say but wait, there is more, they were not kidding. So long story short, he called to be completely honest so we could move forward and admitted that they had sex 3 times. That it's been going on for 3 months. They had sex in a hotel room while I was out of town for a girls' weekend. Paid cash as to not have a paper trail. And the makeup goblin has a child with her previous husband that had cheated on her. Which is why they had to fuck in a hotel because her kid was home. This bro is so delulu that he still has been begging for me to stay. That he will change. That he messed up and loves me. I asked him to leave me alone and he sent me a slew of texts outlining a reel of our relationship and how amazing I am. Included lyrics from our first dance wedding song. What a manipulative clown. If you don't already know what I will do next, I will give you a hint. It starts with a D and ends with divorce. Fin. Comment. It's merely that you now have proof that he acknowledged. Most likely, he asked the other hotel guest to comfort him. It's up to you how you want to go, but it doesn't feel like it's simply kissing. You will uncover something if you delve farther. I would end the marriage. You don't have kids, so honestly, there's no reason to battle it out because that's what it would be, a battle. He was caught. He could have just said okay, I'm sorry, this happened. But nope, he made you go digging. And then of course he tells you the minor thing, yeah, we made out. I doubt it was just that adults don't have an affair for 2 weeks and just make out. He can cry all he wants, but he was happy to come home to you after doing God knows what with another woman like it meant nothing. He is only sorry because his cake face mistress put makeup on him. I would take this time away to tell you mom and start looking for lawyers. Yes, you love him, but why would you want to police your partner who can't even go to work without cheating? Yeah, I smell trickle truth. He only admitted to what you actually caught him doing. There is more he has not admitted to. Did you actually look at the card? He is grown-ass man making secret meetings, he is getting more than makeouts. Not only that, but she was talking about problems recently. Oftentimes, men who are thinking about cheating start to look down on their partner, and look for reasons to criticize them and make himself feel better about wanting to cheat or trying to find reasons to justify cheating.